Hey, Noah, if you're talking, I can't hear you. I think you're on mute, unless it's on my end.
No, you're right. It was me. I was on mute.
Okay.
There we go. All right. So we're going to go ahead and dive into this right quick. Thank you for letting me know that I was on mute there, bud. Um, so we're going to dive into the website here quick. As always, we try to get this done within 30 minutes, and then we have questions at the end. So today we're going to get into the website and see what we have there. And then we have a little bit of a special treat. We're going to walk out into the shop today. You get a chance to see some of that as we walk over to one of the line lifters we have on the floor today, which will be the LL, which stands for line lifter 6, which is 6 feet of clear span, 4,500, which is 4,500 pounds of capacity. All right, that being said, we're going to go ahead and get onto the website here. As always, you can go to line-wise.com. And then from there, you would go to utility transmission. And these are the two that we have on our website right now. We have a hydraulic line lifter, and then we have the manual version of this product as well. So real quick, this is kind of the one that we're going to see today out on the shop floor. So what is a single line pick, right? Because this is what a lot of people in the industry call this, is a single line pick. So a single line pick may be also interpreted as a single phase pick, picking up one phase at a time. In some cases, a customer doesn't want to use a triple line lifter, one of the triple line lifters that we offer. They prefer to use 3 different cranes or 3 different digger derricks to pick up 3 individual phases. But one way or another, we're ready to offer you and your customers the product that they need to get the job done, right? So in this case, we've got anywhere from a 5 foot of clear span with 1,000 pounds of capacity all the way up to an 8,000 pound lifter that we're going to take a look at here in just a minute. But essentially what happens is you attach this line lifter to the end of a crane or a digger derrick with adequate capacity. And then you go up and pick up the phase. And because of the fiberglass component, that insulates the phases, right? So that means that you're working with energized phases. The power stays on to your customers. If you're an electric utility, you're not losing any revenue during this time by shutting down lines. But that's basically the product, the fiberglass jib with some other features that we're going to cover here in just a moment. And it picks up energized power lines. So this one, on this particular one, it shows up to 4,500 pounds. But like I said, in the hydraulic version, we're up to 8,000 pounds. We're going to take a look at that. The weight of the unit is 300 to 700 pounds. Again, that's going to be dependent upon which model that you're using. The length, again, depending on the model, it's 124 to 233 inches. We can have them all the way up to 500 kVs, what's listed here, but we can also go up to 765. Clear span fiberglass, anywhere from, we say 6, it's actually 5 to 15 feet. And then wire holder jib have angular adjustments. So on the ends, the wire holders, which you can't see particularly in this photo, can adjust to different angles for the different boom angles that you're working. For example, let's just say that this boom is coming up at 45 degrees. Well, you have to adjust this angle of this wire holder on the end in order to be able to pick up on the conductor up above with the wire holder pointing straight up. Down here, we can see some application shots. The one that we're going to see on the floor today is an LL-6-4500, and this same model right here. It's going to have a vertical bundle on the end of this to pick up two conductors or 2 bundle conductor, I guess I should say. Funny story is I hear that in some parts of the country that vertical bundles don't exist. This here was down here in Texas, and there is a vertical bundle there. Everyone's used to seeing the horizontal bundle where they're side by side. But this is something that we do have here, and this is where it's being used, and we'll see that attachment on the end of this line lifter out on the floor today. Again, some more application shots. This one right here is kind of a small one. If you look real closely, you'll see something right here. That is probably the one and only LL-5-1000 in the industry today. It's 5 foot of clear span, 1,000 pounds of capacity. And its primary purpose or goal is to lift up the static line on top of the pole. That's all it was designed for. And that's why it's only 5 foot of clear span, and that's why it's only 1,000 pounds of capacity. So this here at the top here was one single, you see one here being used, the LL-6-4500, but this is actually the structures that it's used on. So it has double circuit, 3 on each side here, vertical bundles of 2 conductors. And this particular customer bought 3 of these units, so that this way they could pull all 3 phases off on one side at a time. But again, like I said, it's a very simple product. There's not much to it. And we're going to go out there and look at the different features on the floor today. So I'm not going to cover too much of this one right now, but there are different versions of it. Like I said, right now, this one's a vertical bundle, but we can also come up with attachments for horizontal bundles. You can have single conductor holders on there. Any other special attachments that they may be looking for? Tri-bundle. We've recently done one for a tri-bundle on the hydraulic version, but not on the manual version. But we'll take a look at some of that and see if it's on the website or not, that we can always get you some updates of what that might look like. But so far to date, what we've done with line lifters is a single conductor and vertical bundles, horizontal bundles, and tri-bundles. All right, so that's 3 conductors on the one phase there. Okay, so again, that's the manual line lifter version. It adjusts at the base end for the different boom angles, also adjusts on the end for the wire holder, so you can have different angular adjustments there as well. As you can see, we have a brochure here on the website, and that just gives you that blow up picture of that section there. Can I minimize that? Yeah. So then you can see here it's being used on the end of a digger derrick. It has an adapter for the end of the fiberglass section of the digger derrick. And then it shows some different adapters that we've come up with. So over here, you can see crane or digger derrick adapters. This right here is a crane adapter. You can see the 4 different ears, or 2 on this side. There's 2 more on the other side. It would attach to where the jib attaches to on the end of the boom truck crane. These other ones that you see here, or this here is another boom truck adapter one actually here, and this here is a digger derrick adapter. So it doesn't matter what crane or digger derrick you have, you just have to make sure that it has adequate capacity. There are some digger derricks out there that don't really have much capacity for attachments, and that's just something you're gonna learn along the way. But if you contact us and talk to your local manufacturer's rep or manufacturer's rep, if you call us with what your customer has, then we'll be able to determine what kind of capacity will be offered or can be offered on that particular model. And any other questions you have about these products, of course, just let me know. But in this picture here, you can see where you have the angular adjustments here. It's kind of hard to see, but there's some holes here, and basically you pull a pin. And like I said, we're going to see this a lot closer out there, but you pull a pin and then adjust this up and down to the angle that you want, and then put the pin back in place. And then I got to get out of it. We'll go back over here. So now I'm going to go back to utility transmission, and I want to throw out this hydraulic line lifter version while we're talking about line lifters. These right here are the step up. This is like the Cadillac version, is what I call it, of the line lifters. You got hydraulic articulation. You have a hydraulic cylinder and a radio remote control, and it has its own self-contained hydraulic power unit. You can opt to pull off the self-contained hydraulic power unit and run it with the hydraulics off of the crane. We have a customer now that is in the process of doing that and changing that over just because they want that feature. Of course, keep in mind, you got to have hydraulic hose reels attached to the base boom of the crane and all that good stuff. But it's an option, and you can definitely do that. These line lifters are completely sealed. That is something I didn't mention on the manual version, but they are completely sealed on the ends. And then it has a desiccant canister here on the side, which has what I call blue desiccant. And the blue desiccant, as long as it's blue, it indicates that everything inside the fiberglass boom here or jib is dry. If you start seeing pink crystals start to form, then you know that moisture is detected and you should change out the desiccant. If it's white, then you really got a problem. It should not be white. But anyhow, with the radio remote, the linemen are able to activate this hydraulic cylinder, and it'll go all the way from pointing out straight to going up at an angle, as you see here in this picture. This was out in New Mexico. It was on the end of a Manitex boom truck crane. Again, it just depends on what crane you're using, but it will tell you what kind of capacity you're going to have. This can definitely not be used on a digger derrick unless it is a true transmission style digger derrick. We're talking your Terex, General 80s, General 90s, maybe the Altec DT105 might be able to handle it. Elliott definitely can handle it. They have some monstrous digger derricks, so they can handle it on the transmission side. But that's the hydraulic line lifter. Again, this one right here was a horizontal bundle as opposed to the vertical bundle that we saw on the LL-6-4500. But again, if you had a vertical bundle, we could change this out to where it's going to have the vertical bundle. We could also change it out to pick up tri-bundle as well. Down below, you can see some of the specifications on the 4,000 versus the 8,000. So these are the two versions we have that you can control hydraulically. It's a 4,000 pound capacity on the 4,000 and an 8,000 pound capacity on the 8,000. They both have 10 feet of clear span fiberglass. Now, some people might say, well, how come you don't mention, it's a 115 kV lifter or 138 or 161 or 345? Well, the main reason is because everybody that we talk to at LineWise, it's always a little bit different, not at LineWise, but the customers for LineWise. And what happens is where somebody is okay with 10 feet of clear span for, let's say 345 kV, that might not be the same from company A to company B. We've run into it before, where we have the minimum requirement on our fiberglass insulators for our triple line lifters. And then we go to another customer that was actually out in Florida a couple of years ago, I believe it was. And they said, no, we're going to need a ½ inch more. I'm not kidding you, a ½ inch more on the fiberglass. And we had to go and redo those insulators for that customer. And so that happens. And we're ready to answer that call and make it happen. But for that reason, we give you a clear span fiberglass, and that's the 10 foot here. And in that, you decide if you're the customer, is 10 foot of clear span fiberglass good enough for what we're doing? Does that meet our requirements, is what I should say. If you're a manufacturer's rep, that's what you have to check with your customers on and make sure that 10 foot of clear span fiberglass will be enough for this particular model. But in general, it's either going to be HLL, which is hydraulic line lifter, or LL, and which is line lifter, right? And then the middle number is going to be your clear foot, a clear span fiberglass in feet. And then the last number is going to be your max capacity. Okay. Go ahead. Sounds like somebody has a question.
Yeah, Noah, can I interject here for a minute? This is Rick Kennerman.
You're always welcome, Rick. Go ahead.
Yeah, thanks. The reason for that is two things. One is minimum approach distance with what they call TOV calculation. And TOV stands for transient overvoltage. So in a transmission world, when you have an inadvertent energization event, you can have a rise in nominal phase to ground voltage. So they use the OSHA minimum approach distance plus a TOV factor. And that number is different from utility to utility. That's why you just mentioned one was 10 feet plus 1 inch or whatever. That's kind of where that basically comes from. And I know we have two customers here listening in, and I know they're interested in more of a triple line lifting capability rather than single, and one's interested in distribution voltage class more so than transmission. So if we have a few extra minutes, I'd like for you to maybe jump into that if you're prepared to do so, Noah.
I will do that, Rick. Now, what I would say is just give me a little bit more direction if I'm going off of the going off way too far off track, and then I'll get back on track. Okay, so I'm going to clear this up here. Then I'm going to touch on some of the three-phase lifting as well. So that being said, you get the 10,000 and the total weights listed here, the total capacities, the phase spacing, dual wire holder, 18 inches is between the conductors, so like 18 inches from this conductor to this one. Your overall lengths and the overall clear span fiberglass, articulation 120 degrees, and then the mounting. In other words, it goes on a boom truck crane. Okay, some people have asked how come we don't use a polymer insulator to do our lifting. There are some things that can be hidden within a polymer insulator that you can't see. Any kind of damage that may be occurring with the polymers, things like that. With a sealed piece of fiberglass and using the Desiccant Canister system by LineWise, it's a lot more straightforward. It's almost like a green light for you to be able to go. If you got blue desiccant, you know you're good. And if the overall appearance seems fine and there's no cracks in the fiberglass or there's not been any accidents, then you know you're good. These units come with the Corona ring. Anything that LineWise provides over 138 kV is going to have a Corona ring and a test band and test band shield. You can see the test band shield here. The test band is underneath it. And it also has the Corona ring, which you can see here. And different adapters for different cranes and digger derricks. So you could buy this for crane model A today. 3 years later, buy crane model B, and it's different, just buy a different adapter. You'll be able to use this product for many years to come. It's well worth the investment. Now, per Rick's request, and for the customers that are on the line today, we're looking more towards the distribution. Is that right, Rick, or is it a combination of both?
Ted, I know Duke is interested in distribution more so than transmission, and I'll have Ted speak on whether he wants to see the distribution. I know the TLL-500 they've looked at, which I think is the bottom left photo there. But if those guys can chime in and say what they want to see here, I guess we're prepared to do that.
Yeah, Rick, this is Ted. Yeah, it's the distribution model that we were interested in, a three-phase.
So, Ted, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, we actually had this product at Florida Power and Light on a demo some months ago, right? Were you there for that?
Yes, that is correct. I was present, and I think Dave was here.
And this is the product that we're talking about, that you wanted to talk about a little bit today, right?
Yes, correct.
Okay, very good. So make sure it wasn't the other version that we have, because we have what we call a 500 and a 500A, and the 500 is what we had at Florida Power and Light.
Right, you had I think that's a 12-footer, right, Noah? And
that's right.
36-inch arm on there. So I think from that demo that we conducted at the training center, we were looking more of a 10-foot arm with 18-inch arm at the bottom. Mass.
Yep. Yeah, and we can definitely do that. And of course, you have the adjustable wire holders to go in and out from pinhole to pinhole. And like Ted was just saying, this arm can transfer out from 1 foot, 18-inch, 24, or 30-inch, or 3-foot mass. It basically comes down to what you're looking for. I think what we've really built so far is a 1 foot, 2 foot, and 3 foot. But anywhere in between, once again, we're very flexible. We come up with what you're looking for. And then on the cross arm, we've done a 9 and a 12 foot length, but we can always go back and do something shorter or longer if needed. Longer is always going to take capacity away from you, longer than the 12 foot, that is, because that was the original cross arm that was designed with it. Anything below that's only going to help improve it because we're taking on less weight. It comes down into different components. It's a manual product. It doesn't use any hydraulic articulation. You have the adapter that mounts to a digger derrick of your choice. I understand that sometimes customers want certain digger derrick manufacturers to sign off on the product that they're using, and that's even true with the big transmission items that we offer. Many times a a manufacturer is not going of another product's not going to want to stand behind the product of another customer's or of another manufacturer product, because they don't keep up with what we're doing, nor do we keep up with what they're doing. We just go off of information based on what they provide. But we can provide adapters for the digger derrick or crane of your choice. Now, as a point of interest, we do have digger derrick manufacturers that will stand behind LineWise or stand with LineWise, and we will both agree to sign documentation saying that we are clearly working with one another to make this happen. Not everybody's willing to do that, but I know at least two that are willing to do that with us. So keep that in mind if you're running into kind of problems with manufacturers wanting to improve our products. We got the mast. So you pin on the adapter, then you pin on the mast, and then you pin on the cross arm and the middle wire holder at the same time. And then you put on your other two wire holders, and you can buy this guard arm here on the end to keep the conductor from going over. A particular customer this was designed at the specific request of a electric utility out in the field. They had an accident with a competitor's three-phase lifting arm, which had almost no kind of side loading, tangent loading, that is capacity. The wire holder, they were picking up conductors going around a corner. And when they picked up these conductors on an 8 structure, this conductor on the competitor's unit, or this wire holder insulator, broke off and went flying over and got caught on that last wire holder. And so when that happened, they were saved in one instance. In another instance, a couple of people, I believe, had lost their lives in that. So they wanted this vertical attachment to be there for safety purposes. So you can choose to add that or not, but it has 500 pounds of capacity per wire holder when used with a Terex digger derrick or an Elliott digger derrick. It cannot be used with an Altec digger derrick at full capacity. On some units, you can get 300 pounds per phase, sometimes less, sometimes more. It just depends on the Altec digger derrick. A model that you're working with, and our engineering staff can get more technical with that, and we can set up a meeting if need be to talk about that more in depth. But that's basically it. It's a very simple product. Again, 500 pounds per phase in your normal loading up and down, vertical or horizontal, and it has 500 pounds per phase of tangent loading. So going side to side on an 8 structure or pulling away from the pole per phase, 500 pounds per phase there.
So no, I got a couple questions if you don't mind here.
Yeah, go ahead.
To convert it from horizontal to vertical, is it simply pulling the pin that you see there in that adapter and you rotate it and pin it back? And looks like there's several degrees of operation from 0 to 90 there, maybe?
That's correct.
Is that correct?
That's correct. That's right. You just pull the pin, rotate it down. And in fact, you can kind of see on this adapter, it's kind of hard. You can't see it too clearly, but you can see where it has like a black section here and a white section here. Mm-hmm. One of those is going to be for vertical pinning holes. The other one is going to be for horizontal pinning holes. And it says vertical or horizontal there.
Okay. How about the wire holders? Do you turn the wire holders 90 degrees also, or do they stay in fixed configuration? You
got 3 choices. You can leave it horizontal. You can pull the pin and rotate it to where it's at a 45-degree angle in case that helps you, or you can also rotate it to full 90 degrees.
Okay, got it.
These utilize what we call gravity gates. In fact, it's a standard chance wire holder with a 2,500 pound capacity. And so it's a gravity gate. The conductor goes in and then the gate closes right behind it. We also have developed our own wire holder now that has rollers all the way around. I don't have enough information on that to show it here yet, but we are using it on the larger models like the 2000 S3, the 1300, and it's going to be offered as well on the smaller arms here in the very near future. We're going to be the only ones that have a rated gate on a wire holder. Nobody else puts a rating on their gates. Any other questions?
Yeah, I guess no. I mean, if I do have one, and I'm not sure if this is the right time to bring that up.
Go ahead.
You know, some manufacturers agreed. I mean, to to go with your product. There's other ones that don't. I mean, I can provide some information here on one of the feedback that they provided. I mean, I guess they did agree with an 18-inch mast and a 10-foot arm with some restrictions, right? So that's what we're running into with the current, digger derricks that we utilize at our company. And
Okay.
and one of the stipulations they made was the boom cannot be can be at any angle above 30 degrees, right? Which normally probably would be anyway, right?
Right.
The other thing was I think it needed to be fully vertical or horizontal when at the final, configuration where it was going to be used, definitely pinned at that location, which they would. That's what they wanted to be sure that was followed. And also, I guess they were worried about the 10-foot cross arm is the longest acceptable length. Any longer could induce the overload, right, on the equipment. Let me see. The other thing they presented was they would have to change the decals on the working load limit on the booms because of the current design that you have, right? So that's what we're running into, which, along with a letter that needed to be signed, which, we cannot do that.
So on that last part, did you say the letter that could not be signed or can be signed?
The company's not willing to indemnification letter, so definitely so.
Okay, very good. Well, everything that you said so far, I don't see anything that is a problem for us to handle. Anything that we need to do, if it means changing decals on our part to make it something more acceptable, as long as it's not, saying some kind of lie, which I'm sure that's not what we're being asked to do, but you know what I'm saying. We're willing to do what it takes within everybody's safety to make that happen.
So Ted, clarify, Ted, I think you meant that the digger derrick truck manufacturer would have to change their working load limit decals to accommodate this device. Is that correct or no?
That is correct, yes. And,
yeah.
And is that something they're willing to do, you think?
Well, I mean, we're not going to go that route with the current equipment that we have on our fleet, basically.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because basically, I mean, it amounts to like anything else, liability, right?
So I think where that comes from is the weight of this device, and I don't know exactly what that is with the parameters Ted just said, the 10-foot and the 18-inch mast, plus the load limit of each wire holder. So when you add all that up together, it obviously exceeds the total working load limit capacity rating that the current digger truck specification represents. So that would have to be an engineering discussion between LineWise and the digger truck, or that particular model or whatever, Ted, that y'all are currently using to satisfy everybody from a liability standpoint, is what that sounds like. So probably have to dig a little deeper on that and have a little higher level discussion with some of the leadership of that particular company and find out what those model numbers are and what we could do to basically satisfy them, is the way I see that. Anyone else want to add anything? Go ahead.
That is my understanding.
So I'm getting close to my 30 minutes, and I really would like to continue this conversation. But what I would like to do, I think this is going to take a little bit more of a deeper conversation between us here at LineWise and Florida Power and Light, more in particular Ted over there, and then of course Rick, who is representing us there. I have an idea, and it's an arm just like this, but it's a little bit smaller in weight. When you say that, doesn't have the exact same capacity, but a little less. And I'm wanting to see if that might be of interest. So right quick, would a 300-pound capacity per phase and lesser tangent loading be acceptable?
Ted, I think that question is directed to you, and that would depend on the size conductors and the span, right? So that would be a calculation based on your maximum conductor size and the maximum span length. Assuming worst case scenario would be a mid span lift or between two poles at the middle where the current pole resides, kind of thing. But
Right.
typical hot arm type products that stand off the cross arms and that kind of thing when y'all are doing reconductoring work, those standard products are also rated for 300 pounds per wire holder.
So Ted, would you know if you could take something less on capacity?
Yeah, I would have to check with our engineering and compare what the current model that we use. I think it is 300 pounds, but I'll have to double check on that and get back with you. But definitely, I mean, number one, we just need to meet the manufacturer's recommendations, right? Since we're
Right.
using the product, so and see what's acceptable for them or not. But I'm not sure if the one that you're talking about can be used on vertical or horizontal configurations as well.
The one I'm referring to can be worked the same way, vertical or horizontal, very much like this one right here.
Okay.
Except it's a lot lighter because we didn't allow for 500 pounds of tangent loading per phase. That's a lot of tangent loading. So if you do not have a lot of curvy roads and conductors going around corners that you're concerned about, then this other arm I'm mentioning might be of good use to you.
Yeah, down here, and we don't have a lot of tight corners like up in the other northern utilities, right? So most of them.
So this one in particular was designed for Hawaii Electric. So if I ever forget what I was telling you about, I mentioned the Hawaiian ox arm is what we called it. And it went to Hawaii Electric, and it was very much like this one, except it could be used with vertical and horizontal like this one here. It was lesser capacity of 300 pounds per phase, I believe it was. But I'm looking for a way to make it lighter so that way we can meet the needs that you have. And so
that's a square fiberglass, right? Not round. Right?
That's right, square fiberglass. Square or rectangle, one of the two. And like this one here, this one is more rectangle, I think, on both each of them. But yes, not round fiberglass.
Okay.
What I'm going
might be able to revisit. Who knows? So we can check with the engineering team as well.
So what I would propose is that Rick Kennerly and Ted get together, find a good time that we could meet and have a separate meeting over that, and I'll show you that product. I'm not prepared for that today. It is not a product that is on our website. It is something that we did separately for one customer. And like I said, we just never went down that path. But it works great. It's just, we thought that might be this one that we were showing you just now, the TL-500, was going to be a better option for the industry. But we're not always right either, right? So that being said, Rick and Ted, that's what I propose that we do. And so keep that in mind.
Yeah, we'll set that up separate, so we're not taking up all your time here, so you can finish up what you were planning on doing there.
Yeah, no problem. Come up with a good time to meet, and we will do that. In the meantime, we are going to switch off. I'm going to pass this camera off to my assistant here. And I'm going to flip it around. Let's see here. Hang on. There we go. If you haven't seen our shop yet, this is our new shop. We just built it this year, I think it is, when we moved in. It's a 60,000 square foot facility. We got products everywhere. A little bit of a spoiler alert. Right up there is a new product we're putting out called a space cart. We're going to have them for static lines and for the main lines themselves. So we'll be talking about that real soon. Come visit us at Utility Expo coming up this September, late September, early October. We're going to be displaying the new spacer carts and everything that we're bringing out. So over here, we're kind of setting up for the show and getting products all out. This is going to be the largest group of products we've ever taken to Utility Expo. 3 tractor trailers full of products. So anyhow, we hope you come and visit us if you're going to the Utility Expo. So this here is the LL-6-4500. It's a manual articulating line lifter, phase lifter, whatever it is that you're familiar with. You have your adapter that you would pin to a crane of your choice or a large digger derrick of your choice. And then you would pull this pin here out to be able to adjust the angle of this unit. You can see it has the test band shield, and the test band is down beneath that. And this here is your clear span fiberglass, all the way up to where it touches the glass inside. That is 6 feet of clear span fiberglass. And then here on the end, you have your attachment for picking up vertical bundles. And so here you can see that there's the lineman can lift up, reach out with the hop stick and pick up on the gate, and then release the conductors out of the rollers here. And of course, it goes back by itself down into its locked position. There is a Desiccant canister somewhere on this unit, right over here. And so if you kind of zoom in or see right here, there's blue desiccant there. And if it's blue, that means it's okay. If it turns pink, it's not. To change it out, you simply turn that knob and then take the knob off, and then the whole desiccant canister comes out. I'm not going to do that today because I will break it, and then I'll get in trouble by our operations manager, Dana Hand, and I don't want to get in trouble. But that's what would happen. You take that canister out, you pour it out, and then put new desiccant in. That right there is a simple product. Like I said, it's the LL-6-4500 by LineWise. It's sitting here right now. If you go somebody that's going to need it, let us know. It's for transmission. 6 feet of clear span is probably going to get you around 230 kV, thereabouts for most customers. So anything 230 kV and below, this will work great on. But that's the line lifter product. Any questions before we end today? I know we went over a little bit, but there was some very good activity going on, and we appreciate the questions. We appreciate Florida Power and Light, Ted Gonzalez there, Rick Kennerly, Duke Energy, and everybody else that's joining today, other customers, manufacturers, reps. Thank you for joining. So any questions?
So I got another question, of course. I'm
Yes,
always.
sir.
So Noah, how do we test that fiberglass arm? And then for the customers, are there any different in testing parameters than how they test their booms today?
Okay, so for this type of product, the way that we test it, dielectrically, that is we send all of our fiberglass for high voltage meaning anything greater than 69 kV or 69 kV and above, goes to Hubbell Power Systems in Centralia, Missouri. And the way that we would test it is they would test it like they would any other fiberglass boom. They're going to apply your ground at one end and your voltage at the other end, and then they're going to run it at its rated voltage. Dave Packenbush, are you on the call today?
Yeah, so they monitor the leakage and they follow the standard for test. Okay, so that answered my question.
Yeah, I'm here, Noah. At Hubbell, they tested at one time the rated voltage, and they get a reading on the test band. Then they go to 2 times the rated voltage, and then take another reading of the leakage coming down the boom, and then they do a 3 times momentary withstand with no flashover. So all of our fiberglass products are tested to 3 times the rated voltage at Hubbell.
So that is the test procedure there, like Dave just mentioned. That's what happens at Centralia, Missouri. Good question, Rick. Anything else? Any other questions?
And you've got a 2 years in between the tests. So every 2 years, you'd have to take it out of service and send it back up to Centralia. For the high voltage stuff.
So Dave, there are companies that go around and do that for these utilities now. I assume that would be acceptable as long as they were nail certified.
Yeah, the problem is the rated voltage. I think we can get 138 on a mobile system because that's 199K. But anything above that would have to go back to the lab because I don't know of any, unless somebody's new, I don't know of any mobile labs that can go above 200 kV.
Yeah, well, most of the customers on the call anyway are more concerned for distribution voltages.
Yeah, and we can do that. Yeah, that's no problem. Those can be tested with the mobile stuff. No worries.
That's correct. So the arms that we're looking at for distribution, because they're under 100 kD, then you can do those with your mobile stations. That's not going to be a problem. Or mobile test companies can do that with no problem. Other questions? Okay. If there are no other questions, then we thank you for joining us today for this LineWise webinar pertaining to line lifters. And like I said, I know we got a little bit onto a different product earlier today, but that's okay. If you got questions, then you're on the call, then we want to answer. So thank you very much for joining us today. As always, we do this every 3 weeks, once in the afternoon, like today we've got done. And then tomorrow will be in the morning. So if you didn't catch everything you wanted today, or have somebody that you want to see this product, then invite them for tomorrow at 10:30 Central Time. If you don't have the details, get with me, get with your local representative, and we'll get you the details, okay? Have a great afternoon, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.
Okay, thanks everyone. Have a good day.